you know, it's a really good time to be a pulp hero with an insect theme.
Indeed.
You know, we've got the green hornet.
We've got the black beetle.
We've got the tweed cockroach.
No, that's not a thing.
That's not a thing?
I told you that. It's not a
That would
thing.
be great. You'd have a coat. It would be like his
It's a
wings.
cockroach,
Fine.
dude.
You know what? One pulp hero with an insect theme that I know does exist is the spider.
Spiders are arachnids, not insects.
Okay,
though.
you are just bound and determined to ruin my intro, aren't you? You know what? You do it. You do it.
The spider began in the 1930s as a pulp hero created by Harry Steger. He was largely an imitation of the Shadow, who was incredibly popular at the time. Now, however, he has been reimagined for a modern world by writer David Liss.
Damn, that was all correct. Okay, well look, there's been a lot of things that have been retained even though this is a reboot.
Yeah.
Richard Wentworth, aka the Spider, is still a millionaire playboy who puts on a cape, goes out at night and shoots bad guys in the face.
Awesome.
Which, you know, is nice
I
to
like
see
that,
in,
yep.
in a bit of a vigilante.
Yeah.
But there have been some necessary changes with it being modern. For example, he's now a veteran of the Iraq War rather than World War I.
Yes, and one that I was very pleased to see is that Ram Singh, who in the original was Wentworth's Indian manservant, is now his best friend and a lawyer.
Bit of upward mobility there.
Yeah.
Which is good to see.
Nice to see.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of positive changes here, and I think it was quite a bold move to put this in a modern context.
Yep.
Even more of a bold move to have a lead character who's so genuinely unlikable.
Yeah, Wentworth is a bit of a jerk, really,
kinda
isn't he?
is, yeah.
But I gotta say, I didn't actually mind it that much. I thought it was a really interesting take to kind of take your hero in that direction.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I feel it might get wearing after a while. I know at the end of this trade, I was kind of just dying for this guy to crack a smile.
Oh,
just
come
once.
on. Like, what's there to smile about when you've got a pair of loonies who have got an Egyptian god fetish running around turning the general population into zombies?
Yes, or when the Silver Falcon shows up and starts terrorizing everybody with his army of deadly owls.
Deadly owls.
Deadly owls.
I love it. But that's the other thing that I kind of like. Even his villains are a bit kitschy.
Little
I mean,
bit,
there's
yeah.
the Cholera King in there
Yes.
somewhere. It's a nice blending of the old pulp with the new.
Yeah, no, and I think one of the things that has a decidedly modern feel is the artwork. Colton Worley gives us a photorealistic art style it's quite good, but would be much more effective if it was that bit more consistent.
Yeah, look, I do understand what you mean. There are some panels that you look at and you really do feel like you're looking at a photograph.
Yeah.
And then you turn the page and it's most obvious in faces.
Absolutely.
They become a little bland and a little bit nondescript. It's a bit strange. Although I gotta say the atmosphere in this book was handled beautifully. You can almost hear that rain hit the windows. You can smell this city. It's a really beautiful thing that he's done with that.
Yes, no, look, I do agree with you on that one. The city's almost a character in itself in this one. It's
absolutely.
handled very well.
Yeah.
And there was a lot about this that I did enjoy, but I'm probably not going to keep reading the series.
Okay.
That is largely down to the lead character. I mean, look, I love me a brooding vigilante.
How can you
I
not?
absolutely do, but I don't know, this guy didn't seem to have any great tragedies. He just seemed a bit spoilt and having a sulk, is how he came across. And also another thing that bothered me is that it just seemed so blindingly obvious to absolutely everyone in the city that Wentworth is the Spider.
Yeah.
It was hard for me to maintain my suspension of disbelief
Fair
in the
enough.
face of that. So, look, I did enjoy it, but there's just a few factors that took me right out of it. I'm gonna have to give it a borrow.
Fair enough. Look, I love my pulp heroes. I have a real soft spot for them. And even though Wentworth is a bit of a jerk, I did find myself kind of laughing at some of his frat boy one-liners that are thrown in there. My favourite one being when he's dressed as the Spider and his exit line is, "You know where to find me, your mother's bedroom." And off he goes.
With a grapple
come
gun.
on. That's hilarious.
That was pretty fun. Yeah.
Having said that, there are other pulp heroes that I enjoy more. I'm going to keep my eye on the Spider, but ultimately he's a borrow from me as well.
Fair enough.